August 20th, 1989. A warm summer night in Beverly Hills. Inside a $9 million mansion, two parents settled in for what seemed like a quiet evening. But upstairs, their sons were preparing for something unthinkable. In just minutes, a family dynasty would end in a storm of gunfire. This is the night the Menendez brothers killed their parents. A mansion in Beverly Hills. Two wealthy parents, admired and envied. Two sons, handsome, athletic, born into luxury. But behind the perfect picture was a secret so dark it would end in gunfire, blood, and a case that would divide America for decades. Before the world knew them as killers, who were the Menendez brothers, and what really happened inside that house. This is part 1. Viewer discretion advised. Jose Menendez was the American dream remixed. Born in Cuba, he came to the U.S. with nothing and clawed his way up to become a powerful entertainment executive with Hollywood connections and millions in the bank. His wife, Kitty, once a beauty queen and devoted mother, reportedly struggled over the years with depression, substance use, and the pressures of maintaining their glamorous image. They raised two sons, Lyle, confident and outspoken, Erik, shy, sensitive, and deeply competitive. On the surface, it was a life to envy: Beverly Hills mansion, expensive cars, exclusive schools. To neighbors, the Menendez family had it all. But behind closed doors, things weren't so perfect. Accounts from friends, relatives, and even the brothers themselves later painted a different picture. Jose was described as a man who demanded perfection, strict, controlling, and at times cruel. Kitty, torn between protecting her sons and appeasing her husband, often spiraled into despair. Lyle and Erik were raised under enormous pressure. Their father demanded excellence in sports, academics, and public appearance. Yet beneath the success, cracks were forming. Erik, in particular, struggled with self-esteem and was said to live in constant fear of disappointing his father. Lyle, while more outwardly confident, carried his own insecurities and a desperate need for approval. Some relatives later claimed that what happened in that home went far beyond strict parenting, that the brothers endured years of emotional, physical, and even sexual abuse. But at the time, no one outside the family truly knew what was going on. As teenagers, Lyle and Erik weren't just rich kids living in luxury, they were also deeply flawed young men. Erik was a talented tennis player, but his nerves often got the best of him. Lyle attended Princeton, but was suspended for plagiarism. Friends recalled the brothers as both privileged and insecure, young men who seemed to have everything, yet were restless, even reckless. Some say the brothers resented their father's grip on their lives. Others believe they were groomed to be entitled, spoiled, and incapable of living without their parents' wealth. Either way, tension in the household was escalating, setting the stage for something unthinkable. By the summer of 1989, the Menendez family looked perfect on the surface. But to those who looked closer, something felt off. Neighbors recalled strange arguments. Friends noticed the brothers pulling away from their parents. And inside that Beverly Hills mansion, the tension had reached a breaking point. No one could have predicted what was about to happen. A night that would leave two parents dead, two brothers accused, and an entire nation asking, was this cold-blooded murder for money or an act of desperate survival? August 20th, 1989. A warm summer night in Beverly Hills. Inside a $9 million mansion, two parents settled in for what seemed like a quiet evening. But upstairs, their sons were preparing for something unthinkable. In just minutes, a family dynasty would end in a storm of gunfire. This is the night the Menendez brothers killed their parents. That Sunday had been ordinary, at least on the surface. Jose Menendez, the hard-driving father, relaxed in the family den, watching television. Kitty, his wife, was nearby, also unwinding. To anyone who might have peeked into that lavish home, nothing seemed unusual. But Lyle and Erik had other plans. Accounts suggest they had already purchased two 12-gauge shotguns earlier that day from a sporting goods store in San Diego, over 100 miles away, a move to avoid being recognized by local gun shops. They returned to Beverly Hills that evening, their weapons hidden, their minds racing with anticipation and fear. The stage was set. All that remained was the moment. At around 11 p.m., Lyle and Erik entered the den where their parents sat. Jose, sitting on the couch, never saw it coming. Lyle fired first, striking his father in the back of the head. The blast was devastating. Jose Menendez died instantly. Kitty screamed and tried to escape, scrambling toward the hallway. Erik fired, hitting her in the leg. She fell but struggled to get up, screaming desperately. The brothers fired multiple more shots, 2 to her face, 1 to her chest. The brutality left investigators stunned. Kitty Menendez died on the floor of her own home, only steps away from her husband. Minutes later, the brothers dialed 911. Erik's frantic voice can still be heard on the chilling call. "Somebody killed my parents." Their act of panic was convincing enough that responding officers initially treated the brothers as traumatized victims, not suspects. The scene inside the mansion was gruesome: pools of blood, a shattered family photo on the floor, and 2 lives cut short in an eruption of violence. But something about the crime scene didn't add up. Police noticed that the home appeared untouched. No forced entry, no valuables stolen. Whoever killed Jose and Kitty came not to rob but to execute. And yet that night, suspicion didn't fall on the 2 grieving sons. Detectives initially believed the murders might have been a mob hit. Jose Menendez had enemies in the business world, and the precision of the killings seemed almost professional. Lyle and Erik played their part well. They cried. They embraced relatives. They told friends about their shock and horror. And for a short time, the illusion worked. But cracks began to show quickly. Instead of keeping a low profile, the brothers began spending wildly: Rolex watches, a Porsche luxury vacations. Within weeks, they had burned through hundreds of thousands of dollars. Friends whispered about their behavior. Investigators started asking new questions. Could it be the victims' own sons? The Menendez brothers had pulled off the unimaginable, killing their own parents and convincing police they were innocent. But their lies wouldn't last. In Part 3, we'll follow the brothers' reckless spending spree, the mounting suspicions, and the confession that would change everything. The Menendez brothers had pulled off the unimaginable, killing their own parents and convincing police they were innocent. But their lies wouldn't last. In Part 3, we'll follow the brothers' reckless spending spree, the mounting suspicions, and the confession that would change everything.